What's up, guys? Riley here, back with something completely new today. We're going to be playing Basketball GM, which is an online simulation game completely free, which allows you to take the role of a basketball GM, a GM in the NBA. And yeah, it's a pretty in-depth simulation game, which actually keeps track of a lot of advanced stats. Essentially simulates player development as well as the regular ongoings of an NBA season. Along with the draft, free agency, all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool. Essentially, it's as if you're playing, whatever 2K GM mode, but without actually playing the games themselves or watching the games, because they're all simulated. So I'll show you more details as we get into it here. First off, I just wanted to show you how to set up a game, and this is a game I've been playing since high school, which for me was ended a couple years ago now. So I've been playing it a while. One of my friends showed it to me, and I kind of got hooked ever since. So setting up a game, you have a few options here when it comes to setting up a custom league, and this is if you just look up Basketball GM, it should be one of the first results. The official URL is play.basketball-gm.com. Anyways, go to a custom league, because this league will allow you to upload a custom roster with the actual players and actual teams and logos and all that. So, and player pictures as well. So it's pretty cool for a free simulation game. You're going to want to go to upload league file, and if you look at Basketball GM roster on Google, you just click. It should be the first result, but it's under Alex Noob's GitHub, and he has these updated rosters, which actually the latest one just came out less than 24 hours ago with the completed 2022 draft class, which is pretty cool. So obviously they are including the draft classes in here for the first few seasons, and then once it gets out to a point where you can't really predict anymore, then it becomes mostly randomly generated players, but still pretty cool to see the different developments and kind of create little attachments with the players that you have. But essentially what you want to do is download this. I've already done this, so I'm not going to do it again. Click on this link, download it, and then you'll want to go to choose a file, and it should just be in your downloads, and then you'll be able to have all these teams. But I've already actually created my league for this one, so I'm going to go back, and I'm going to be playing as the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, a few reasons why I chose them. First off, they are struggling to start the season. I think they're 4-12. Second off, they don't technically have a GM. I think it's probably just a different front office guy that's been assigned to the role, but they don't currently have a GM according to Wikipedia. So take that for what it is. Another reason that I've chosen them is for something else they don't have, which is a championship. They haven't won, and this is also my old hometown team. This is the only team I've actually gone to an NBA game for. I've gone to two of their games back in the day. They played Tracy McGrady's Rockets, and then I also got to see them play Shaquille O'Neal and Amari Stoudemire on the Suns. I think Steve Nash is also still on that team, so pretty entertaining games to watch. I'm pretty sure they lost both, typical Timberwolves fashion, but I may be mistaken, as that was a solid 12 years ago. So I guess I got some nostalgic connection with the Timberwolves, so we're going to be sticking with them here. And going through a season, I'm kind of just going to be laying out, how this game works, how in-depth it is, and then I'll actually be getting into the season as well. And if this is something that you guys like, of course, this is one of those things where it's new, so let me know if you want to see more of it. If you don't want to see more, just let me know, or whatever, dislike the video, or just give me some constructive criticism, and of course I will take that into account and then move on. And just another thing to mention as well, the schedule going forward will be this video, of course, and then we'll have the part 2, I guess, of that music tier list for the Rate Your Music core tier list thing that I did about 9 months ago. I actually got some, like I mentioned last video, got some pretty nice comments, a few comments anyways, that said that they wanted me to do a part 2. So I'll be doing exactly that. It might end up being a 3-parter, just due to the length of the actual recording process itself. And then after that, I'm going to be going into some daily fantasy sports simulation stuff. So that should be pretty interesting. I know a lot of you guys are looking forward to that, or have been, commenting that you want to see daily fantasy sports related content. And so that's exactly what I will be giving you guys in a short time. So first off, though, let's focus on Basketball GM here. I think this is a great game. Like I said, I've been playing it for a long time, and I'll show you some of the actual in-depth stuff. So if we take a look at an actual player, we have D'Angelo Russell here. You get the actual picture. Keep in mind, this is all due to the custom rosters. You don't get this with the standard, essentially, rosters of the game, because, obviously due to copyright reasons and all that stuff, can't really have that embedded in the game itself. But let's move down here and just take a look at some of the stats. So you get all his historic stats, essentially. You get it actually records when he has an all-star appearance. On the side there with that little star, but you get some pretty advanced stats, like you get the offensive, defensive plus minus. You get value over replacement. You get stuff like estimated wins added. So usage percentage as well, and also that where is it now? Here we go. The PER, player efficiency rating. You get that too. So yeah, lots of different advanced stats you can use to kind of evaluate your team, evaluate your performance, and move season to season. And then you also get this GM history page here. So this is kind of makes it look a little bit rewarding as well from your end, is that you get your seasons tracked with the team, or wherever every team that you go with anyways, because you can move teams if you get fired or if you get offered a new job. You can move teams, but it tracks all your records. It tracks your historic players, all the players that you've used get added to this page, and then you can see like estimated wins added. You can see their average points and whatever, all that throughout their career. So yeah, pretty cool stuff there. And then one other page I wanted to show you as well is this power ratings or power rankings page, where it consistently ranks each team. Moving down here, we do have a free agents tab. So you have the actual free agents to start the season. Kyle Korver is always a guy I like to consider bringing in, just because he is such an effective shooter and still can move despite being 40. Obviously, these physical traits like speed, jumping, endurance, they all start to deteriorate as players get older, but currently he is still able to move, so maybe a guy we'll consider signing. There also is a trading block. There's draft classes, of course, like I mentioned before, and then there's also a Hall of Fame. You can actually retire players' jerseys as well, so for example, like with the Lakers or the Cavs, when LeBron retires, I'm sure he'll have to some extent his jersey retired with a selection of teams, probably with that Heat number 6 as well. Wouldn't shock me. So yeah, just something else you can do. A few other things as well. Finance. You can adjust your finances when it comes to your scouting budget, coaching budget, health, and facilities. And all these things do affect other things. So like facilities wise, the higher you're paying for facilities, the more attractive they are to players who want to come in, which actually brings up one other thing I want to bring up in a second. And then you got health, which is affecting your injuries in your team. Coaching affects your development, I think, mostly, but also I'm not really sure if it affects your performance or not, but I know it really affects the development of your players season to season. And then scouting as well affects essentially the accuracy of the draft class ratings that you get coming in. So yeah, as we make more money, we can invest more into those sections. And then also the ticket price. So this is your average ticket price. You can adjust it up and down based on how your season's going. So maybe if you're having a really bad season and nobody's coming to your games, you might want to consider lowering your ticket price to get to a point where you have more or enough people coming into your games where you're still making a profit. And then of course all this is affected by your payroll and your salary cap. So we have currently a 109. So if you're overspending that, then you're potentially losing a decent amount of money, which I expect this Timberwolves team will lose a decent amount of money to start in this first season, but it's kind of something that we just need to stomach and then move on from afterwards, anticipating that we will be able to get a high draft pick and then develop a team from there. And then also one other thing as well, mood. So this is what kind of affects your players' probability to resign with you. So right now D'Angelo Russell's at a 94. He wishes the fans were more excited about the season, which is another thing. Like there's this hype rating from 0 to 1, which it kind of determines how the atmosphere of the fans around your franchise, how many of them are actually excited to come to the games and are coming to the games or not. So like I said, pretty in depth, lots of different stuff going on here. A little bit of a worry. Karl-Anthony Towns at a 28%, meaning it might be wise to consider trading him later on in his contract if we cannot win now with him and make him happy. Anyways, let's set this lineup here. So I'm not exactly sure, actually. I haven't really thought too hard over this yet, but I don't really know if I want Anthony Edwards starting. So now that we kind of get into the actual management side of things, I think here's the thing. So it's good to have guys that are balanced. And you see this defensive IQ and offensive IQ rating. Those two ratings are really important. to a player's effectiveness. So for me, like, I don't really want too many guys that have a low defensive IQ. I kind of want to garner a solid defensive effort, and you already have guys like Russell on a 41 who is probably going to be starting. And so I think playing a guy like Okogie wouldn't be the worst idea in the world, despite the fact that his IQ offensively is fairly low at 44, and then even 45 is still not that high. So other guys to consider as well. Ed Davis might get some fringe minutes, but we're going to stick him on a single minus, which means he's going to be getting less minutes than this is Ricky Rubio. Going to be getting less minutes than like the average role player, essentially. And moving on the list as well, we do have a Jade McDaniels. I think he's going to be that similar role. Anyway, honestly, this season where he'll get a decent amount of playing time. Like he'll still play off the bench, but maybe in more of like a 7-minute kind of role rather than a bigger bench role. Other guys in that role, Hernan Gomez. I don't really see his use too much in this team. He's on $7 million a season, which is kind of crazy. So maybe we'll start him in that lesser minutes role as well. Jake Layman is a good enough shooter for me where he can justify coming off the bench as a rotational 3. Okogie, like I said, pretty great athlete who can still develop. So we'll probably play him in a more rotational role. Ricky Rubio is a perfect rotational point guard. Unfortunately, we are paying him $17 a season, so we need to consider maybe offloading a few of these guys. And yeah, when it comes to a starting 3, it's kind of tough right now because we have Culver, and apologies if you guys aren't familiar with the NBA, by the way. So I'm sure the people that are into the NBA will probably be staying on. If you're not into the NBA at all, this is maybe not the video for you. As I start to talk a little bit more in depth into the NBA here, but Jarrett Culver, a guy where we could potentially use him. And he can definitely develop. He's only 22, but shooting-wise, only a 46 three-point shooter. And really, we want to be surrounding guys like Karl-Anthony Towns with a bunch of shooters that he can play off of. So Anthony Edwards, the number 1 overall pick, I think he maybe starts on the bench, actually. And we go with more of a... it's tough, though, because maybe we start McDaniels, too. So I think in this sort of scenario, you want to tank when you're a team... coming off of a high-round pick who still doesn't really have the most complete roster. I think tanking and giving your young guys opportunities to play is probably the way to go. And then guys like Ed Davis, for example, who could still be solid role players, and maybe even starting in higher roles in general in a contending team. Won't really be playing as much for us just because we want to be giving these young guys opportunities. So I think we'll probably start Anthony Edwards on the bench. Jade Mcdaniels, I think he's actually technically coming out of last year's draft class as well. In 2020, yeah, he's just a trade over. So brother of Jalen McDaniels as well, which is another cool thing about this game too. It actually tracks, families. Jalen McDaniels playing for the Hornets right now. Anyways, so yeah, I think this is probably going to be the team. Russell, this is going to be a pretty awful defensive team. We have Russell, Beasley, Culver, McDaniels, and then Towns. Let's just get like a week into this, and then I'm probably going to cut it off just to show you, how it plays. And once again, this is one of those things where if you really like it and you want to see more and you want to see me go through this stuff and talk about it more in depth, then let me know, because it does become really interesting. It's just a bit tedious to start off when it comes to like setting up your team and all that. But yeah, once again, if you don't like this at all, then just let me know, and I will probably consider just stopping it at one video and maybe just using this as a showcase video just to show off the game for you guys to see. So here is the actual start of the season now, and when it comes to free agents as well, I think we're just going to leave that for now. Like I said, most likely just going to be tanking, so we don't really want to be spending any extra money and kind of just going through the season and hoping to either get a high draft pick, or maybe we start and contend surprisingly, and then that's when we start to build and maybe look for the playoffs. But I don't really see that happening if I'm that honest, especially when you have guys like McDaniels and Culver starting, who probably are going to be a little bit off the pace. So let's go through our first week. So just to simulate a day, you hit play, and then one day, and then it goes through this game here. So we have our first game against OKC, who is a team that will likely also be in the tank region this season. We got an interesting starting lineup here, though. You got Lou Dort, You got Shea, Gilgeous-Alexander, of course, who will be the centerpiece for them going forward. And then for us, we have Anthony Edwards starting off with 20 off the bench, so maybe we do have to start him. McDaniels gets 12 minutes in the starting lineup and scores a point, so not the most, not the most encouraging first games for him, but as you can see here, I feel like we might have to just give Edwards the go after that game. Not really sure how you'd handle this as a coach for the NBA in a real situation. You'd probably start Edwards off and make him earn his spot. But yeah, we can give him a go here and see how he performs against Golden State. He actually just had a pretty nice game against them the other day, even though it's kind of irrelevant. And then Jade Mcdaniels starts off with a tough game, making me think that maybe he is just a bit too much off the pace. Hernan Gomez put up a pretty solid performance as well, and he actually kind of fits this team better. So just making me rethink my, or I guess 2/5 of my starting lineup right away. But yeah, we'll go with this then. So we're going to go with Russell, Edwards, Culver, Hernan Gomez, and Towns in Game 2 and see how that plays out. And we'll just keep an eye on those rotational guys, see who plays well, see who doesn't. So we get a 116-105 win here. Let's take a look at the actual performances of the guys. Wiggins with 27, which is actually I just mentioned that game against the Warriors the other day. I'm pretty sure he put up 27 there as well. Which is, once again, just a completely irrelevant fact that I shouldn't know, and but it shouldn't matter. But of course, the way my brain works, that is the information that I retain. Then we have Russell putting up 16, but from 15 shots, so a bit inefficient there. Edwards putting up 15, can't really complain about that. Culver with 6, he's going to be the guy that is not really contributing too much to the scoring. And then, of course, we want Beasley scoring off the bench, Kogi getting involved, Rubio getting minutes as well. So I guess this lineup's a little bit more balanced and something we probably want to see going forward. Maybe we allow Naz Reid to try to fight his way into the lineup as well, as he's got some significant potential. Pretty sturdy guy, 6'9", kind of reminds me of an Ed Davis, for example. In all honesty, actually, yeah, same height, similar skill set. So Ed Davis and Naz Reid potentially fulfilling a very similar role for this team, which would probably result in us releasing Ed Davis at the end of the season and hoping that Naz Reid develops. So let's move on to Game 3 here, and this is how it's gonna be. Like, you can go faster, you can go months at a time. I'll show you the different options here. So you can simulate a live game. I'll probably end with a live game to end this episode, but you can go, you can simulate a week straight, you can simulate a month, you can simulate to the trade deadline, you can simulate to the All-Star game, and then you can also just skip the entire regular season and go all the way up to the playoffs. But we're going to be taking this slowly for the time being, just to analyze our team, and then potentially, if we get into a situation where it is just a tank season, then we probably just, start to go at a faster pace. So obviously, Karl-Anthony Towns, carrying us right now. I think he put up 36 in the last one. But Anthony Edwards starting off pretty well, which is, I think, better than he's done this season so far in real life. Russell putting up 17 from 14, so he's going to have probably an inefficient season based off of the first few games here. 12 assists, though, so you can't really complain about that. Culver puts up 14. We want him scoring when he can. Obviously, his three-point ability right now, he's currently shooting 80% from beyond the arc, which is something that is not going to hold. I would be shocked if he actually even shot above 35% this season. That would be kind of crazy, considering he shot 29% last season. So even if he shot like 33%, I would be happy with that development for Culver. Hernan Gomez, contributing pretty well. And if we can win with this team, we'll try. But once again, I think more likely than not that it is a tank season. And as you can see, our profits already at minus $3.8 million. That is due to the massive contracts and our current tendency to overspend, $132 million right now, which puts us at about $21 million $23 million over budget. So not really something that is ideal, and we probably want to start to shed contract when we can. I really don't want guys like Rubio on $17 million and Beasley on $15 million on the bench when we're really at this stage really trying to rebuild. So looking down the list here, Rubio's been contributing pretty well. His PER 21.5, and for reference, like a PER of 10 I think puts you at like the league replacement level, if I'm not mistaken. So anything below 10 is putting you in a position where you really shouldn't be playing, and then like above 20 is really solid. But obviously these current statistics are based off of 3 games and are going to change rapidly throughout the season. So let's go on to the Clippers here, playing an away game. And also just show you your betting line, which is pretty cool as well. So we're going to this one 9-point underdogs, and we actually get a 153-150 win. So we've been putting up points. That's 2 straight games with 140 plus, yet to score less than 100. And once again, Karl-Anthony Towns just coming up huge for us, 47. So he has just been absolutely carrying. We're also putting up 21 from 14. That's a little bit more efficient. Edwards with a quieter game. Hernan Gomez has pleasantly surprised me, shooting 54% from beyond the arc, which is, once again, just a number that's not going to stay. And Malik Beasley, 21 from the bench. You can't really complain about that either. So, yeah, we're getting some solid contributions here. Really coming down to the fact that Karl-Anthony Towns is carrying us game by game here, currently averaging 35 a game. Probably will settle more around the mid-20s to lower 20s if I'm absolutely honest. Yeah, probably settling around maybe 27 actually, based on his last season. He did only play 35 games, of course, due to the shutdown. So we'll have to see, how his numbers develop this season. Looking at our hype, so I think I explained this, but our hype rating is a rating from 0 to 1, essentially representing how excited the fans are about the team, the prospects of the team, which then affects your attendance. Right now, our hype rating is a 0.08, so roughly, equate that to 8% of what it could be. And our attendance is pretty low, so we might want to consider moving this ticket price down, maybe cutting our spending in our facilities by a bit, anyways. Maybe health-wise, just cut that a little bit. Coaching-wise, I kind of want to leave just for the development factor. And then scouting at this point, probably want to cut that a little bit too. So, we'll go with that for now. Maybe you have to cut coaching as well a bit just to save some money here and there. But moving on to Game 5, we get another win. So we're starting out 4-1. We're starting hot, which is, I think, a little foreboding in all honesty, because I think we'll probably just hit a point where we just start to lose and then, have a hard time kind of getting out of that hole. But once again, Edwards putting up 26, which is crazy. I don't think he's put up a 20-point game yet this season. Karl-Anthony Towns putting up 39, so he's just been, like I said, he's just continuously, high volume of shots, but shooting pretty efficiently. And 3 for 8 is a number that I'm kind of fine with. So from 3 anyways. And then Beasley being the guy that just comes off the bench as a more of a high volume scorer, sort of like that James Harden role that he fulfilled when he was playing with the Thunder, except this team is nowhere near the quality of that Thunder team. So, I can't really complain so far, though. Looking down at the Bulls, I mean, not really a team that is too scary at this point, the Bulls, but hey, still a win's a win. And going to Cleveland, fully expecting to lose that one, and we do 100-91, going to 4-2, and still a solid start. Let's see. So finally, Towns hits the wall, 7 for 19, 16 points. Obviously, eventually he was going to regress a little bit from that crazy start. Edwards 17 though, so Edwards has been scoring consistently, very much justifying his place in the starting lineup. Beasley, this one much more inefficient, 17 points from 16 shots, 4 from 10 from beyond the arc is fine. But the rest of his game probably taking a lot of those inefficient mid-range twos, resulting in an efficient night overall. Looking at the Cavs, then they got Darius Garland starting lineup. They got both centers, Jared Allen and Andre Drummond starting. And the funny thing about that one is they just have a glutton of centers. Larry Nance Jr. as well off the bench, JaVale McGee off the bench, even Marcus Bolden. They feel so inclined to bring on a fifth center, and then even Taurean Prince as well playing that 4. Probably can play 3 as well. Just kind of funny. The amount of bigs that they have. Kevin Love, of course, in the starting lineup as well. So they're just going with a 2 guard, a 3 big lineup, and it worked against us as we lose 100-91. So let's move on to this last game. I'm going to be doing this one live just to kind of show off the live aspect of this, where you can simulate a live game, and it does show the box score, and it does show your the play-by-play as well. So it's interesting enough. I mean, I like to do it for big games sometimes, like a Game 7 or something like that, or like let's say you're down to the final game of the season and you need to win to make the playoffs potentially. Something like that is a game where I would I would consider showing live, so you can kind of pick your speed, go as fast as you want, and yeah, this is kind of the process here. So pretty cool showing this play-by-play on the side, and then it's also going to show your box score too. So looking at our box score right now, Russell with 18, Towns with having a pretty good game, 22 from 12 shots. We currently lead by 11. Let's see here. Going into the fourth quarter now, lead has been cut to about 7. I can slow it down a little bit too. For this last 6 minutes, we're at 14. Hopefully we can hold on to this one. Trae Young having a bit of a quiet game for his standards. And once again, Karl-Anthony Towns, high volume of shots, but 6 for 12 from 3, make it 6 for 13, but still very impressive night for him. We are currently up 13 with 3 minutes left. Let me just speed it up the rest of the way, see if we can close this one out, down to 11. They're cutting it a little bit, but it looks like we're going to hold on here. Another high-scoring window, 133-19, so we are putting up points. I think the problem with this team is not whether they can score or not, though. It is whether they can defend. And looking at our low defensive IQs from this starting 5, especially 41 for Russell, 45 for Edwards actually makes him one of the better ones. I like Culver in here just due to that 48. He kind of adds a little bit of balance, even though he will probably struggle to score and probably shoot wildly and efficiently this season. Hernan Gomez is 38, so not all that impressive there, but he can shoot, so he kind of spreads the floor a little bit for us as that 4. And then, of course, Karl-Anthony Towns, a 33. That's his big liability, but he has been scoring crazy so far, 33.6 a game, 11.7 rebounds. If he continues like this, maybe we are a borderline playoff team. Starting out 5-2, we've already actually eclipsed the Timberwolves win record in real life from 16 games because they are currently 4-12. So we'll take that for our first start there. Like the bounce from the team right now, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video here. I know it's sort of a new thing that a lot of you guys might not be interested in at all, but I think when it comes to simulation and I guess when it comes to sports simulation, also even statistical analysis, which I think a lot of you guys probably are interested in, this game applies. Like I said, very in-depth statistically. Let's just take a look at Anthony Edwards so far just to analyze his start. So for example, we're looking at his offensive box plus minus, currently at 2.3. Minus 1.5 defensively, so a good offensive start for him. He's shooting pretty well right now, 27% from 3, so that's worrying, but that's something I kind of expect from him, to shoot maybe around 30% this season from 3. But if he's much more of a slasher, so if he is scoring, close to the bucket, which he does have a 72 dunks and layups and a 53 inside rating for his shooting, I think it is very feasible for him to continue starting. Of course, 6 starts from 7 that first game. We decided to adjust afterwards, and it worked out in our favor as we won. Well, after that switch, we actually went 5-1. So I'm probably going to keep sticking with this lineup. But moving to the future here, of course, the big problem with this team is the payroll situation. 132.5 million, putting us 23 million over salary cap, which we really want to get down. So we'll probably have to start analyzing some players to potentially move on. Where we can save money, and I don't think Hernan Gomez is really going to have too many suitors for that 7 million. So hopefully we can make him useful for the 4 years that we have him here. Of course, Towns is staying, but Russell may be a guy that is a bit expendable at this point, especially with guys like Rubio on the bench, McLaughlin, who I really like McLaughlin, despite his height. He's kind of scrappy, he's kind of crafty, good passer, good creator, a guy that can potentially fill that point guard role, and then maybe we could draft a point guard high or something like that within the next few years. So yeah, lots of things to consider, lots of things going on here, but very in-depth game. If you guys really liked it, I will be doing many more of these. For me, it's really easy to record. It's a lot of fun to record. Something I love to do, obviously, as well. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it. So yeah, let me know. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys later.